380. I'm your host, Blain Pudvey, and I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Smith.
Good evening. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend, which is about to end because we're recording. It's the 29th.
Yeah.
And it's a Sunday. So that means for most of us, we got to go back to work in the morning.
I'm one of them too. Back on day shift.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know
Monday
what,
on a Monday. Hate it.
right? I
Mhm.
can't tell what day is what and what time is what because it's like I never leave. I'm trapped.
Comes with the rank.
Yeah, shame that you don't get paid a lot more.
That's right.
All right. So, Trege could not be with us. He's dealing with some family stuff. So, um, he sends his apologies to everyone. He wishes you'd be able to see him. He bought a new T-shirt. Everything's good, but
Almost fits
perhaps on
him.
the next one. Yeah, he's still shopping at Baby Gap,
Yeah,
which for him is normal size clothes.
exactly.
But for this episode, it's going to be my last one for a little bit. Matt and Treg are going to have to take over because I'm going to be taking off for a few weeks. I'm going to go head down to Boston and kind of hang out in the middle of the ocean for a few weeks in between. But this episode, we're going to bring up a few things, mostly surrounding the game against the Winnipeg Jets. So last night, the Canadiens played the Jets, and we're going to talk about that and some of the issues surrounding the team, some of it coming from that game. So why don't we just start with the game itself, Matt?
Well, there's another come from behind victory, something that we're kind of getting used to with this team this year. Um, I don't know about you, when those two quick goals went in the second period, I was like, all right, well, it's enough of this game, or they're done for. But they battled back like they have been this year, and they're proving early on in the season that they're not going to just be a team that's going to be pushed over and it's going to be an easy out for any team that's coming in. So overall, great performance from them, and I would say it's capped off by the performance of Jake Allen, who I believe has taken the starting goaltending position, away from everybody else. I think that it's his net to lose at this point. Going into the season, a lot of people said it was Montembeault's to lose based on his performance last season and based on his performance at the World Championships. But so far, he's just been kind of mediocre. And Jake Allen, through the 4 games that he started, is 3-0-1, and he's got a 930 save percentage. So you can't really fault the veteran at this point. And I know a lot of people are saying trade him while he's hot or try to make a deal while he's hot or whatever. And I'm kind of telling people, pump the brakes on this. It's still early in the season. Obviously, I'd like to see this continue. And you never know. He might be a guy that's going to be a trade asset moving forward. However, I think that having a veteran goaltender in Jake Allen playing the way that he is just another player to rally around for a young team. And it's just a positive in the locker room. So ride it out as long as you can. And obviously don't overwork the guy. But again, they've got to do something with the whole 3 goaltender situation because you don't want to have a guy sitting for that long. I think we saw it a little bit in Montembeault's last start. He hadn't played in a while, and I think it showed. So it's going to be hard to say who's going to start against Vegas on Monday. But my guess would be Montembeault, seeing that Allen just came off a 40+ save performance against Winnipeg. But
Yeah.
again, he was the reason that they won that game.
Well, judging by the way they do things, they're going to throw Primo to the Wolves and put him in front of the defending Cup champs. That's just the way
You never
just the way
know.
it seems.
You never
Yeah,
know.
but you're going on. You're talking about a veteran goaltender that the players can rally around, and that's why with teams like Buffalo who are having these injury problems with their goaltenders, that's why there's rumors flying around about, hey, maybe Jake Allen would be a good fit there, and he absolutely would.
Yeah.
But if you trade out a Jake Allen, you're down to Jake Allen. You don't have anything coming back in to replace him. So you're going to have to rely on Montembeault and Primo,
Yeah.
which I mean, a lot of people want to lose more games, and that's fine. I get it. You're rebuilding, but this team this year is supposed to take a step forward.
Yeah,
And
you
with
want to see progression, and
yeah,
it's not Allen's
and they
not
want
the
to
only one
compete.
there. Allen's not the only one they're talking about. They're already talking
No,
about Monahan, who scored again last night. Nice power play goal. He's got 7 points so far in 8 games. Tanner Pearson's got 5 points in 8 games, and everyone's already saying, okay, start lining up the deals. And it's like, okay, like just
well, I can see those two,
these are guys that
Monahan
are
and
going to be
Pearson,
out more than likely. But
at
right
the
now,
deadline.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
utilize them,
yeah.
maximize their value. Some guys are already saying, all right, like trade one of these guys while they're hot, bring back a shit contract and get some futures. It's like we're 8 games into the season, guys. Like calm down a little bit.
Well, other teams are going to be shopping for new players now anyway.
They shouldn't be at
Um,
least.
shouldn't be. And with Monahan and Tanner Pearson, the two of them are on expiring contracts.
Yeah,
So it makes perfect sense to ride them until the deadline. And by then, if you do move them both, you open up two roster positions for players who are in, say, Laval, who've had the majority of a season to get themselves up to speed with the
right,
professional game because most
right.
of the players down there are super young.
Yeah. But overall, back to the game. I
Yeah.
thought I thought it was just another one of those performances that the Canadians were looked like they were down and out at one point, and they find a way to come back. I know off air we talked a little bit about a couple things we were going to bring up, and it's one of them's Joel Armia. He tied the or he scored the tying goal, and just a few seconds off of being a shorthanded goal. I think that was massive for him. I think it was big for the team, and this might keep him up with the team for the future, or for at least for
Yeah.
the time being. But you got to look, even in the games that he played in Laval, he played 5 games, he scored 4 goals. So it's not like he went down there and was like, ah, I'm in the AHL. Like, I hate Montreal and I'm not going to do anything. Like, he worked his way back up. And
Yeah.
his first game, he did not look out of place. It was one of the better games that we've seen him play. He played just shy of 15 minutes. He had a good amount of time on the penalty kill, had 3 shots and scored a goal. So can't really say anything too negative about a guy that's pretty much there for a fourth line role and to kill penalties, and he did just that last night.
Yeah. The fact that he went to Laval with a good attitude and he produced and the young guys appreciated him being around there and he was more of a mentor at that point. That probably helped lead to his call up. I mean, other
Yeah,
players played better than him, but they're much younger and you want them to play those minutes. So calling up someone for a fourth line, Armia was the perfect fit and he stepped up and he played a very solid game.
he
Like
did.
outside the goal, even if he didn't score, he produced a very good game.
Yeah, you didn't notice him for any wrong reasons.
No, he was physical when he needed to be. He was able to get pucks out of his own zone. He was able to cycle the play on the forecheck, provide some energy, eat up some minutes post power play, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Give the guys up in the lineup a little bit of a breather.
right.
So that was good. But there was some bad in this game too. I mean, obviously outside the first period, which is absolute trash. I mean, they played poorly. Well,
You
I think
can't let up that
Winnipeg
many
just came out
shots.
flying.
Yeah, you can't let up that many shots, and it's happened multiple
No.
times already this season, and that's something that they're going to have to really kind of take care of. Yes, it's nice that Allen played the way that he did, but we're also still only 8 games in the season. He was in his fourth game. You don't want this day in and day out letting up 35, 40 shots. It's not
No.
sustainable. And that's how injuries start. That's how this happens. And that's when the negativity starts coming in. So if they can kind of shore up a little bit in front of their own net, I think it would be very beneficial for them moving forward.
I wouldn't mind the number of shots that they're giving up if the shots they were giving up weren't more high danger chance
Right,
shots. I
right.
mean, they're giving up a lot of those,
Yes.
a little too many.
Yeah.
So if they cut back on that and all the shots are coming from the outside, I mean,
Yeah.
Montembeault, Allen, even Primo should be able to stop those for the most
Right.
part.
Right.
So that would be better. Um, but I mean, you go to the negativity side with the fans. The team's 5-2-1 right now,
Yes.
and there's people that are pissed off that they're 5-2-1.
Right.
And I understand you're in team tank, you want the highest draft pick, that's fine, but don't shit on the other fans who are happy to see their team win.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. I don't see the team keeping up this pace because
I,
of what
I,
we
I don't
just talked about.
I don't think a lot of people do, but ride it while you can. Like ride the wave. Like
Be
it's
happy.
it's there hasn't been a lot of positivity to talk about in terms of the Canadians for the last since they went to the Cup final, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take it as you can. Like when Kirby Doc went down and was out for and now he's out for the year, it was like, all right, here we go. And then Savard is out for 6+ weeks. Here we go.
And
You're
Guhle
already
was out
without right.
day to
Yeah,
day.
yeah. You're already out you're already without Dvorak. You were day to day with Guhle. Now you're day to day with Matheson. They're still winning games. So be positive, people, while you can.
And even if they don't win the games, the fact that they're in the games, they're competing. Like this is the second straight game. They were down 3-1
Yeah,
and they came back. They ended up winning both in overtime. Well, overtime in a shootout. But the fact that they're capable of coming back shows that this is a team that, yeah, they're rebuilding, but they've got the right attitude, the right approach. St. Louis got them starting to focus on how to play the game properly, and that's what I want to see this year. Even if you end up losing the rest of the season, lose every single game, if you're losing them by 1 goal, you're
right.
able to make comebacks and whatnot. It's showing progress.
Yes. So you mentioned some
Now,
negatives. So you mentioned some
yeah,
negatives, and I'll let you start with yours. I know mine's pretty glaring, and I'll bring mine up, but I'll let you start with yours. It might even be the same one.
I could be. I mean, the use of Slavkovsky,
Okay.
I found that to be a little bit of a negative. Um, I believe I like Josh Anderson and all. He brings something to the team that not a lot of players can. But on the power play, unless he's playing against the Maple Leafs, he doesn't bring much. Like he's great on a rush, but I don't know, playing in the net front or in the bumper spot, he doesn't have it. Whereas Slavkovsky has all the tools to play in that bumper spot, to play net front, to move pucks around. He's got playmaking skills. And to be honest, this kid needs to start shooting a lot more. He's got maybe
And
one shot per game.
and that's my problem with Slavkovsky is like we talk about, give him the power play time. We talk about he could utilize him the best, but he's already said himself he's more of a playmaker than a goal scorer, even though when he was drafted, a lot of people were like, "Oh, here's the next power forward, goal scoring young forward coming into the league," right? Um, but you're right, like he hasn't been shooting the puck, and there has been times where it kind of looks like he's reverting to his old season, like his last season self, where the puck gets on his stick and he's like, what do I do? And either he just gets rid of it, or he makes just an ill-advised pass, or holds it for too long. There's a lot of times where if it doesn't go off his stick right away towards the net on a power play opportunity, or a opportunity where it's like you have to shoot, he's not taking that shot, and it's frustrating to watch because I think that whole line in general is struggling.
Yes, there's other reasons for the line to struggle. I mean, he's not the one that carries the line, and the fact that you bring up his struggle with the pace of play and the timing, uh, that's why I've noticed a lot of people talking about AHL, and we've talked about that over the summer here as
Right.
well. And all three of us have all said the AHL would be fine. Honestly, it'd probably be better for him at this point, but they're not going to do it.
No, I don't think so. Like we saw in the
The good
preseason,
news,
we've seen some flashes. Like we've even seen
yeah,
in the regular season this year, we've seen some flashes. But people
yeah,
are going to only look at points. And he's only got an assist so far through 8 games, and the points are going to come. Like, but at the same time, NHL isn't a developmental league.
no, and the he's created a lot of offensive opportunities this season. So many that, sometimes you wonder what would happen if his line mates have actually buried the opportunities he's
Yes.
generated.
Yep.
He'd have a ton more points. But the fact remains he's not shooting enough. And if he's not shooting more, players aren't going to respect his shot and they're going to cheat to the pass,
Yep.
which takes away his playmaking skill.
Right. And
So when you,
other players from other
yeah,
team are like, this guy's not going to be isn't a shooting threat. So
that's right.
all right, and the
That's why they'll cheat
game,
to the
right? Yeah,
pass.
the game plan on him is going to be like, all right, just he's going to pass it over here.
Exactly. It's like Anderson. The game plan on him is just keep him wide because he's going to shoot. He's not going to make a pass. He's not going to drop it.
Yeah,
He'll just try and cut to the net. So if you
yeah,
just stay between him and the net, there's your plan. If you can. I mean, his speed makes it hard. But with Slavkovsky, I mean, he's shown improvement, and that's to me that's a plus. So he's played a lot better so far this year than he did last year. So I'm not going to crap on a 19-year-old kid who's showing improvement.
yeah. I'm just going to wonder how even from line 2 down
Yeah.
is going to blend when Dvorak comes back. Because I truly believe that he's gonna shift back to center. He's gonna be a center,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? He's one of the better defensive centers that they have, and I think that's gonna really help a guy out like Newhook, who last night struggled mightily, winning 9% of his faceoffs. And we knew going in he wasn't a strong faceoff man. And I think that he's just at this level, or at least right now in his career, he's better suited as a winger to be able to be able to use your speed a little bit more. And if you have someone to get the puck to you, to be able to kind of unleash that speed and do what you got to do, right?
I mean, I wouldn't be adverse to him lining up as a winger to start the shift,
Yeah,
and then just
that
shifting to
too,
center after the
and
faceoff.
and that's okay. And
Yeah, that would
I
work.
can see that possibly happening, because I could see
Yeah.
maybe Monahan moving up to that line, have a new hook on a wing, or even have, like, I don't know if I'd have Dvorak, is he's more of a defensive minded player.
Mhm.
Maybe take that third line position with the other two vets or something. But
Yeah, I do see Dvorak when he steps in, he'll step into the Metamucil line and allow
yeah,
Monahan to move up to the second line.
yeah,
So yeah, that opens up opportunities for St. Louis to make some line changes to shuffle things up a little bit, and that could help. Um,
it's gonna cause a ripple effect, because you take Monahan and you
yes,
take him off that line, you put him on the second line, or some people are saying put him up on the top line with Suzuki and Caulfield. It's
which you
gonna
could.
cause a ripple throughout the lineup, because if you move a winger off of if you move a winger off the second line, whether it be Slavkovsky or Anderson, you're at least bumping one of those down to the third. Where you're gonna drop Pearson or Gallagher down to the fourth line. That means a guy like Gilonen's not playing, a guy like Pizzetta's not playing, a guy like Armia is not playing, whatever, right? So
And speaking of ripples down the lineup, Matheson ended the game. He couldn't end the game. He was injured during the game, and they're calling it in air quotes a day to day.
yeah,
So we all know Guhle was in air quotes day to day, but he was really
yes,
out for 2 weeks with a concussion. So
yeah. Upper
what's
body though.
upper body? Um, so he's day to day. So does that mean 3 weeks from now he'll come back and we'll find out that he had like a herniated disc or some nonsense
Well, you
like
know
that?
what? It's positive that he's traveling with the team.
Yes,
And there's only two. I think there are 3 games on the road, I believe. I think.
something along those
I'd
lines.
have
I
to
mean,
look.
maybe he wants to go bet on games and on football games in Vegas. He doesn't want to pull a Pinto though.
Yeah.
Don't pull a Pinto.
But yeah, I think they
Um,
do. It's like Vegas, Arizona, and St. Louis or something like that.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, then they play and
this
they're
week.
and in Tampa. Then
No,
they're
they're at
back.
home for Tampa.
Oh, they're at home for Tampa. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So 3 games this week. The Knights, the Coyotes, and the Blues. That is not an easy road trip.
It's not, but at the same time, you look at that schedule and at least 2 out of 3 should be winnable games.
Yeah, yeah. No one's expecting the Canadiens to beat the Golden Knights.
I was gonna say that they were gonna come out strong against the Golden Knights and then shit the bed against Arizona, but
That would be
because
more Montreal
that's the
Canadiens-ish.
Canadian style, right? So,
Yeah,
but you
absolutely.
are right. You are right. When
Yeah,
you go into Vegas and right now they're starting just incredible. They're 8-0-1 to start the
yeah.
season. They're getting goal contributions up and down their lineup. Their goaltending has been solid. They're a well coached team. So it's gonna
They're
be
a
a tough
wagon.
one. Yeah,
They're a wagon.
it's gonna be a tough one, and it's a
Yeah,
building that it's a building that it's got a lot of energy and special effects and everything
yeah.
else, right? So
There's gonna be
I
holographic players out there.
yeah, so I even though they're even though they're I love their cup banner was mint. That looked great. All
It
right.
did look good.
The whole slot machine thing though, that was pretty cheesy, but it is Vegas, right?
It's
So
Vegas.
yeah.
There's got to be some tackiness to it, like tongue in cheek. Hey, 60s Vegas kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's part of the mystique
yeah. Yeah,
of the city.
that's true.
So why not
That's true.
turn into the skid a little bit, and
I'll let him
embrace it.
have it. I'll let him have it.
Yeah. And the rings. Did you see the rings that they made? There's a
Yeah.
little arena hole in there that they can
Yeah.
put I don't know, sugar for their cereal, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but it is going to be a tough road trip. The
Right.
Blues are underestimated in my opinion. They're still a pretty tough team to play against, even though they're not what they were in 2019
Right.
when they won the cup. Well, maybe they are kind of like what they were in the beginning of that season, but
Yeah.
they're still a pretty tough team.
Yeah.
And Arizona is going to be pretty motivated to show off because they know they're going to be on national TV with Montreal in town. So they're going to show off their 5,000 seat arena.
Place will just be booming.
Woo! Um, so yeah, but going back to the trickle down effect with Matheson, um, with him out of the lineup, that's going to open up more ice time for others. For instance, Xhekaj, who played quite a few minutes. He played just under 17 minutes, which is a little bit more than what he's been playing at so far this year. And if he's moved up to a second pairing, which I think he will be now, he's going to play 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's going to give him a little bit of an opportunity. Um, but the one that's going to really benefit from it with more ice time, and it's going to be Guhle. In his
Yeah.
first game back, he looked amazing.
He looked great. But he's one of those players that given the opportunity to jump up and play the extra minutes, he exceeds expectation. He's not a guy like Barron, and I'm not going to shit on Barron. He's made some defensive lapses, but that's how Barron plays. But he's got 3 goals in 5 games, and he's got a 50% shooting percentage. So I won't shit on him that bad. However, we talked about Barron in the preseason being a really slow starter, and it takes somebody to get knocked out of the lineup for him to be like, all right, kid, you're the next one up. You need to start playing now. And then he starts to play. But Guhle
Well, yeah,
was able to jump in Matheson's absence. And yeah, he looked fantastic last night, played over 25 minutes, put up a couple assists. I think it was one of his better games that we've seen him play in his young career.
yeah, and he was stepping up into the play. He was generating offense. He was creating offensive opportunity. Like he's the one that got the assist
On
on
the
that
Armia
third
goal.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut up the middle, and he made a very very nice pass, a saucer pass through a defender directly onto Armia's stick. So
Yeah.
he's got some offensive chops to his game as well. Not just, hey, me big, me hit.
Right.
You know,
Right.
he's a player. So
Well, you got to
he'll
think like
step up.
he was the WHL uh, playoff MVP,
Yeah.
right? Like as you said, he's not just one of those like smash and bang type players. Like he's going to be a solid two-way defenseman in this league.
And he can keep up with people like Connor McDavid.
He's got wheels. He can skate like a
He's
son of
got
a bitch.
wheels
Yeah.
backwards at that. Like,
Yeah.
I'd have a hard time keeping up with McDavid in a car,
Yeah.
but he's doing it on his feet. So he'll be the beneficiary of more ice time and a larger role. We'll see how he handles that because we're looking down the line 2-3 years. Guhle is going to be relied upon quite heavily as a shutdown. You know, he's going to be a matchup shutdown guy, but they're going to want offense from him as well. So this is going to give him the chance to kind of test those waters. And you talked about Barron a little bit, and you're right. He's a bit of a slow starter, but once he gets going, he's great.
Yeah.
And this year, despite a couple of lapses defensively, he's looked even better defensively than he did last year.
Yeah.
Like he's playing the way they wanted him to play when they traded for him. Like this is
Yes.
a good puck moving second pairing defenseman who you can rely on.
Yeah, and some people have had this conversation, so I'm going to bring this up as well. Why I know the reason why, because they asked St. Louis about it, but I want your opinion on it. Why not put a guy that's an offensive minded or more offensive minded defenseman who's got a big shot on the second power play unit instead of Xhekaj?
I can see why Xhekaj's there because when he shoots, he gets it on net.
He does.
It's not always the hardest shot, but
He
when he
knows
gets
how
an
to get it
opening,
on net and get it through.
exactly. So for me, that seems to be the reasoning as to why he's there, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Um, why wouldn't you want a more offensive minded guy there? I can see that as well, but who's reliable enough or consistent enough to take his spot?
Right.
At this point, I don't think anyone really is because the ones that would be are already on the first pairing.
Yeah. So right now, I think it kind of looks like it's more the fact that they want to develop that side of Xhekaj's game while
Yeah.
also developing the game of the defensive style for Justin Barron. And I think I don't have an
Yeah.
issue with it. I don't have an issue with it.
No.
Maybe if it was maybe if it was a couple minutes left in the game and you have to throw out your second pairing, maybe then you throw someone with a little bit more offensive mind, but yeah.
If you're down a goal, you need one. You throw out the
Yeah.
guy who, damn the torpedoes, all offense, who
Yeah.
can do that. Now,
I want to
Xhekaj,
I want to start shitting on the power play. This is something that we normally do on the show, but lately they actually have been putting the puck in the net.
yeah, like how dare they
Yeah.
start playing better on the power play and take
Yeah.
away an entire segment in the
That's
show
right.
called
That's right.
Power Play Corner,
Yeah.
where we don't score any points, just like their power play did
That's right.
or didn't.
Yeah.
So now they're getting better on the power play. Now they're sitting middle of the pack on the power play instead of dead last like they have been for a couple of years. Those bastards. But that's a good news thing for the Canadiens. They're starting to be able to uh, create offensive zone pressure on the power play, and they've got some pretty good puck moving. But the way I see it happening now is because of people like Sean Monahan, who's playing in front of the net, who's playing in that bumper spot, who's able to move uh, down to the goal line so they can do a little bit of a tic-tac-toe passing play to get a quick shot off or screen the goaltenders. Like that's the role that they put Anderson in sometimes, and he is not suited for it.
Or Gallagher.
Gallagher loves being in front of the net, but it's more because he's sliding headfirst into the goalie.
Yeah. It's a little bit easier to
which
see
God
over
bless him.
top of him. A little, you know.
It, yeah, it is. It is. He's there mostly as a pest to piss them off.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But on the power play, you don't really need that. You need a guy who can do what Monahan's been doing.
And he's done it well so far. 3 out of 4 goals on the power play so far.
Yeah, and that to me, that's the reason why they're
And the
doing
other
better
one,
on
and
the
the other
power.
one was shorthanded.
Yes,
He hasn't,
yeah.
hasn't scored a 5-on-5 goal yet this season.
What a lazy bugger,
I know, right?
right? My God, how dare he score all those goals and not do it when they're even?
Well, try to find a time during the season that Montreal's had he had been playing at even strength. So
It's a good point. That's why they're such a good 5-on-5 team because they only did it for 2 minutes.
that's right.
Yeah, and again, this game here saw officiating that was meh, kind of meh, but nowhere. At least this game against Winnipeg, the officiating, even though it was kind of meh, the calls they made, you can say they made some kind of sense.
Yeah,
Unlike the game
it
before.
wasn't the Columbus game, that's for sure.
No, no. I mean, I could argue against the penalty shot, but he did hook him, and he was kind of on a breakaway.
Kind of. I still think it was
I would have given the two, but I can see
two for
the
sure.
penalty
Two
shot.
for sure. But we've seen it already in this year. There's been an abnormal amount of penalty shots.
Think they're doing it on purpose.
I think so too.
It's a conspiracy.
I think so too. And it's I I don't know. I don't think it was should have been a penalty shot. I don't think it was that much of a clear cut breakaway. I don't think it was that malicious what he did.
No.
Again, 2 minute. We've seen a hell of a lot worse. Guys getting dragged down or slashed or hacked or whatever, and 2 minute penalty or nothing.
And I brought up the officiating because it impacted the game again with the last 2 minutes because the Canadiens again got called for a high stick in the last couple of minutes of the game, meaning they start on the penalty kill to start overtime again. And we came a hair away from Caulfield scoring another overtime goal.
Yeah, it would have been his seventh
right
career.
before the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
131 games or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
131 games
Six
for
and a
7. Yeah, it would have been insane.
Yeah. So,
but I do find that their overtime strategy is looking a lot better than what it was. They still
there's
get
puck
they
movement.
right. They still let up some chances,
Yeah.
like most teams do. But I just think their puck pursuit's a lot better, and they're not forcing it as much as they were before. There's a little bit more planning. There's a little bit more, where am I going to pass? When am I going to pass? Who's going to come on? Who's going to jump? So I think it looks a lot better, and so far it's paid off for them.
Well, it's not like the days of Claude Julien, who would be ripping the oxygen masks off the veterans to
Yeah.
send them out to start the overtime and not change them.
Right.
There's some strategy to it now.
Yeah.
And it's offensively minded strategy. So
yeah.
That's good news.
Well,
again, another area they're improving on.
And for instance, like Suzuki getting better on the power play. He's 52% so far this year. He's winning more faceoffs, so you can start him out there. You can start him out there right away. You don't have to have a guy like Evans go out or Monahan or whoever just to win the draw, so you can get possession and make the change. So that's just a little positive as well.
A positive would be if there was a little bit more health to the team, because with Suzuki, they're riding him pretty heavy. Like last year, he was averaging 23 minutes a game. He's doing the same again this year.
It's just shy of 21 minutes right now.
Yeah, exactly. So he's being ridden hard. And for a guy who hasn't missed a game yet, that's a lot of minutes.
Don't push it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the impact of these injuries. They're taking players away that they can trust in those situations. And now it's forcing him to play more.
Yes.
So that's the only downside. But I mean, it's not like he's playing poorly.
No.
Which is why they're relying on him so heavily, because he is that good.
Hey, won the game for them the other day in the shootout, so take it.
Sure did. He's finally scoring goals.
Yeah. Hey, he had one. He had one going into the game.
Well, that's what I mean. Like he's starting to
Yeah.
score goals now.
Yeah.
Like he had a slow start. I mean, a couple of games and looked, he's a little rough offensively, but he's coming around.
Yes.
So, I mean, that game there was almost a carbon copy of the game before. We can go on for hours about, what they can fix, what they can't, what they did well, but it's all the same stuff again.
Yeah.
For a team in a rebuild at this
Hey,
stage of the
hey, we're
rebuild,
losing. Hey, we gotta start playing a little tougher. Hey, we tied it. Hey, we won. Everyone goes home happy, right?
and the fans were rocking
They were.
again.
They were, yeah.
So all this talk, all this negative talk of, oh God, they suck, they should lose more. Well, the people that pay $200 a ticket to go watch the team, they don't want to see that. They want to
No.
see fun, exciting game, and once in a while, a big win.
Right.
I would paying that kind of money.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
Imagine taking a family of four to that shit. Holy crap. That's like $1,000 easy.
Yeah.
Easy. All right. So do you have anything else on the game or
On the
some
game, I
pluses and
don't.
minuses?
On the game, I don't. No.
Anything on the players, coaches?
Um, you know what? I'll give a shout out to the coaching staff and the players just in general when Armia scored his goal. And we saw Letowski come over
Yeah.
and give a good, obviously I'm sure more did than just Letowski, but it was just the fact that the camera panned over to him. But the fact that everyone was tapping him on the helmet or giving him a tap on the back and everything, like for a veteran guy to go down to Laval and get called up and scored his first game and everything, and for the team and even the fans to react the way that they did, I think that just showed a lot of class, and I thought that was something worthy of bringing up.
I agree. Yeah, no, that's a nice feel good part of this game there.
Yeah.
Um, so now I want to move to a question that a friend of the show, JD Lagrange, has asked
Uh-oh.
openly out in
Uh-oh.
the Xverse about finding some help for Xhekaj. Now he mentions getting a young Nick Delorier for a fourth line role
Okay.
to help Xhekaj, I guess, with the fighting or the toughness factor.
Okay. Well,
Do you think
they're,
that's needed?
well, there's the whole aspect of I want to see him. I think he's got it into him to be a defense first, but offensively reliable, I guess, kind of defenseman. Not necessarily a two-way defenseman, but a guy that is going to put up a few points that can do what he did last year. He can get pucks on net and he can contribute here and there. Jump up when he needs to, but he knows really what his role is. I think it was blown out of proportion. The whole he's gonna fight Reeves, he's gonna fight Lucic, he's gonna fight this guy, he's gonna fight this guy, and it's the media and social media that is really driving that narrative. And I don't think that it has to be his only part of his game. And the thing is, a guy like Pizzetta, while he is a good agitating fourth line energy winger that can finish a check and that can stand up for himself, he's not going to be the guy that's going to be going out there and going against those super heavyweights. But then again, there's not a lot of those in the league to begin with.
No, there's not. And he's
Do
kind
I
of a
do
unicorn in that sense.
do I think that maybe it's important to have someone in that lineup every now and then? Yeah, depending on who you're going against, because then it's going to take Xhekaj away from what you want him to do and kind of be forcing him into that situation, because chances are player X is going to be going to look for him because it's something that was brought up in a media scrum. It's like, oh, you're going against Montreal. They've got a youngster in Arber Xhekaj and he's known as this. Oh, maybe you're going to drop the gloves with him. And then we have to hear fucking Ryan Reeves ramble on about how great he is for a few minutes. And
He's good in the room, though.
well, you know what, like I won't shit on him that bad. Like, you know what, he's a good for the room guy, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize how much I didn't like him talking until he got to Toronto. Because it's like he's talking all the shit about Corey Perry, that Corey Perry scored the game winning goal. And talked about Xhekaj jumping him and everything. And it's like, dude, like, look at the clip. You lost. You lost and you lost your balance. Like, it is what it is, right? You've been in worse fights in your career, right?
Yeah.
Just take the draw or take the L, like, whatever, man. Like, it is what it is. But to answer the question, it would really depend on who you're bringing back. Um, the players that can contribute, that can also drop the gloves, are few and far between lately. So it's going to depend on what you're giving up to bring in this player, who you're taking out of the lineup to um, have this player in the lineup, and the negative effect it's going to have on player that you take out of the lineup.
Yeah.
Because there is not a lot of them out there that can still contribute, and that you don't mind seeing playing a regular shift.
True. And with that thought of someone coming in, I don't think the Canadians really need it. It's not a necessity, in
Right.
my opinion. I understand the thinking behind it because you got Guhle, Xhekaj, Anderson. Those are guys who can all fight, but they're also guys you want to stay on the ice. You want
Yeah.
them playing more minutes. So bringing in a fourth liner who you don't care if he plays 5 minutes or 15 minutes, that makes sense in that case.
Right.
But you're right. If you're going to bring somebody in to play in, even in a fourth line role, they've got to be able to contribute. They've got to bring that energy
Right.
like Pizzetta does.
Yeah.
Pizzetta will fight. I mean, he's not a heavyweight by any means, but they already have him there. Like
Yeah.
in my opinion, he's not a Nick Delorier, but he's
No.
someone that's willing to fight a Nick Delorier.
Right. Like, for me, it was a guy who actually just fought Nick Delorier. That was Ross Johnson, guy.
Hmm.
He's from Charlottetown. Used to play for the Charlottetown Islanders, play for the Monks and Wildcats as well. Um, so, East Coast boy, can drop the gloves. He's big. He's 6'5" and probably 230 pounds. He was on waivers. Anaheim picked him up, and if there was anyone that they were going to pick up to fill a role similar to what JD's asking, it would have been a player like that. But at the same
Yeah.
time, Montreal has a waiver priority right now, and what do you want to use? Do you want to use it on something like that, or do you want to use it on maybe something that, like, a player slides because somebody's coming back from an injury, or somebody trying to make cap space to sign a player, maybe a Patrick Kane, something like that, right?
Well, and that waiver priority is going to disappear in a few days. As of
Yeah,
1 November,
right,
they're going to go from having the fifth choice to having one of the last ones
right.
because of their
They're standing in
standings
the league.
already.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're hoping somebody waives a good player that they can grab him before the 1st of November, but chances are
Chances
not
are
very
probably
good.
is not going to happen. No,
No. So JD, we love your idea. There's merit to that idea,
there
but
is there is
I,
there is merit
there's
there is
definitely
merit
merit.
to it. I 100% agree that there is merit to it, but it's what you got to give up. And I know a lot of people have just talked about bringing in Delorier and what he brought to the team, and what he brought to what he brought to the organization, and the energy, and being a local boy and all that kind of stuff. But I'm looking at his contract, and I'm just going to bring it up right quick. Nick Delorier is still signed after this season for 2 more years at 1.75. He's 32 years right now. He's got a modified no trade clause with Philly. Um, is it sustainable? Absolutely. Is it a little bit rich for a guy that, for what he does? A little bit,
A little bit.
right? But I don't know. The only other guy that I had on my mind that might be able to play um that kind of style, but again, he's not a heavyweight by any means, but when he wants to, he certainly can drop the gloves, is Jonah Gadjevich,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
he recently signed with somebody. I don't know who, but he's a physical a physical a physical winger. I need to look I need to know where he signed now. He signed with, give me 1 second. He is currently
Do,
with
do, do,
the Florida
do,
Panthers
do,
organization.
do. There you go.
Yeah. But
So,
I remember watching him play because he played in Owen Sound,
okay. Yeah.
right? So when Suzuki was there,
Yes, that's right.
right?
Yeah,
So
I remember that now. Yeah.
right, that's how I remember him. He was on the World Junior team, everything like that, right? Like he's, yeah, one of those guys that's like, how's he already have a beard? Right? One of those kind of guys, right?
So yeah, with JD's thought, it makes there's merit to it. There's sense to it. It's not unreasonable. There there's some actual uh, thought about tactics in there. So JD, while we don't necessarily agree with your thought there, we do agree that it is a good thought. And on that, we'll move on to the final part of the show.
Yep.
Finish it off with this: the Thomas Plekanec's retirement from hockey.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, he had to retire due to injury, but this is somebody who meant a great deal to the Canadiens
Yes.
in the aughts and early tens.
Yeah. This is a guy, he's gonna be 41 on Tuesday, right? So it's not like
So old,
right.
but
It's not like he's a youngin in the hockey game, right?
no.
But you know what? He did everything he could for the Canadians, and he played up 1,001 games, scored in he was able to score in one of those games that he played, and I think he scored in his thousands game.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, scored his thousands game. And he is well known for just being, you look at the guy and you see the turtleneck, and it's not like he was the most imposing figure or anything like that. Yeah, he got a
You got to
goatee
go
and a
T.
turtleneck. He doesn't look like he's the most imposing guy or anything like that. But you ask some of the best centers in the league, or even some of the best players in the league, who they didn't like playing against, it was Thomas Plekanec. Because he was like I don't know, he's like a poor man's, more antagonizing Patrice Bergeron,
Yeah, yeah. He
right?
loved to
Like,
slash the hands of the players that he was up
yeah,
against.
yeah. And
Pissed them off.
I would love to see this guy back in Montreal in some capacity. I don't know if it's going to happen because he's got, with his family and everything, and
Yeah.
the fact that he is back in the Czech Republic. Um, but what a career. I can't say anything negative about him. I've always been a Plekanec fan. Um, he is a player that I think that the next step for him, he'll be one of the guys that'll be put in the Ring of Honor.
Um, I don't know. I thought the Ring of Honor was just for people in the Hall of Fame, but if it's not, him and Markov absolutely 100% belong in there.
I think no, I don't think it's just Hall of Fame. I don't think so.
Either way, I
I have to
agree.
look.
He's
Like
done
I don't
enough.
like yeah, like I know some people are already talking about retiring his jersey and everything like that.
Well, that's a bit much.
It's a little bit of a stretch right now. I think the next one that's going to happen to maybe Carey Price once he right,
It's
maybe
tough. And
once he
that's a borderline call at this point.
right. It won't be Subban for the people that keep saying it's that, right? But again, I think he's a Ring of Honor type guy, and he's a guy that you look at and can't say anything negative about him other than those 17 games he played with the Leafs. But other than that, yeah.
Oh, but here's the thing though. With that trade, this is a legacy that he's leaving behind. Not just the 1,000 games, not just the 606 points, not the two-way play and the way that he's helped the team make the Eastern Conference Finals twice. That trade that he was able to get back for Montreal ended up with something very special. And this is the trade tree. They part of that trade to Toronto got them Rinat Valiev.
Yes.
Rinat Valiev got them Brett Kulak. Kulak got them a second round pick, and that pick was Lane Hutson.
Shit, eh?
So
Quite
that's
the
a
trade,
legacy from
quite the trade
Plekanec.
tree.
Talk about stepping up on everyone,
Yeah, especially for Renat Valiev.
right? Like there's nothing else from the trade with Plekanec that really amounted to much for the
Right,
Canadiens,
right.
except for that one piece right there. And that's a significant piece when you think about the future of the Canadiens, as many people are looking at Lane Hutson and thinking, here's a guy that's going to match up well with Reinbacher
Yeah,
and become the next Quinn Hughes or their next key offensive player.
right.
So if it
Yeah,
does end up that way,
I did not know that.
everyone should thank Thomas Plekanec and Marc Bergevin. I know people are going to hate this, but Bergevin was the one that made that trade, made the Kulak trade, but then Hughes finished it off with trading
Yeah,
Kulak away and picking that player.
yeah. As I only knew the other one that was the Olofsson, but Olofsson never really amounted to anything, unfortunately. That was the second round pick that went with that. But yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Interesting.
a great legacy from on ice play, from his charity work in Montreal to his turtlenecks, and now Lane Hutson. So thank you, Thomas Plekanec.
Absolutely.
So that's it for the show. Any final thoughts?
Um, I'll say actually, I'm gonna say three things. Shout out to everyone knows I'm a big UFC person and a big mixed martial arts person. I'm gonna say shout out to Francis Ngannou, who actually beat Tyson Fury. You got screwed out of your win. Boxing didn't want to see their champion go down, but I think everyone knows that you won that fight. I'll say rest in peace to Matthew Perry, Canadian actor, big hockey advocate. Um, Famously tells a story of beating up Justin Trudeau that I think is kind of funny every time that he tells it. Um, when he was when he was a kid. And the more serious one, I'll say rest in peace to Adam Johnson. Very tragic accident that happened during the IHL game the other day. Unfortunately, he died of his injury at only 29 years old. And I'm going to say to anyone that is out there that is trying to glorify that video and share it and trying to get likes and retweets and all that kind of stuff, you're fucking losers. That's the only thing that I can say. It is not something that you want to see. It's not something that should be shared. It's not something that should be glorified. It shouldn't be out there. If you see it, just I would just don't watch it. Like it's just not something that it's not something that you want to see. So I'll say rest in peace to him. Definitely a life taken way too early and a freak accident. And that's all I get to say.
And I'm going to kind of piggyback on that. Yes, I agree. My condolences to the entire Johnson family, friends, his girlfriend, fiance. I'm not sure, but I'm sorry. Um, to his whole family, our condolences. And also, sadly, on the same day, a player in Saskatchewan playing in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League also took a skate to the upper body, and thankfully that player only needed some stitches and they were fine. But this brings me to my point: neck guards. I think these are the next thing that's going to become mandatory, even at the NHL level. But even if it's not, when you're playing minor hockey or junior hockey, wear your neck guard. I know it's a rarity. It's rare that these things happen. We can probably count on one hand the ones that we can remember over the last 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
But
Zednik
Adam
was the last.
Johnson,
Zednik was the
Zednik was the
last
last
really
one.
bad one. Yeah.
But we saw what happened to Adam Johnson, and that's tragic. And there's that off chance that something like that will happen.
Yeah.
So please wear your protective gear. Um, which is a sad way to end the show, but that's how we're going to end it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing the show. Thank you for sending us those emails, those comments. Keep those coming. We truly appreciate it. And remember,